Senator, at Vets for Freedom, we were a small upstart. Our focus was
Just the number,
working
please.
on Capitol Hill, going back to the battlefield,
Just the number.
war fighters.
Just the number, please.
Senator Gary Peters grills Pete Hegseth on his qualifications to lead the Department of Defense, emphasizing the massive scale, complexity, and responsibilities of managing 3 million personnel and a multi-hundred billion-dollar budget. Peters questions whether Hegseth's previous leadership experience, primarily small nonprofit organizations and National Guard units, provides sufficient preparation for the role of Secretary of Defense.
I've heard about the jobs you've had in the past. Let's just talk about qualifications. I know you had 2 previous positions. How many people reported to you in those positions?
Senator, at Vets for Freedom, we were a small upstart. Our focus was
Just the number,
working
please.
on Capitol Hill, going back to the battlefield,
Just the number.
war fighters.
Just the number, please.
We probably had 8 to 10 full-time staff and lots of volunteers.
So you had 8. Has there been any other? We've heard about the 2, and certainly there's been a lot of talk about the mismanagement, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just curious. I won't go into that. Just curious. So you had 8 there. What's the largest number of people you've ever supervised or had in an organization in your career?
Not 3 million. Senator.
No, I don't expect that. Very few people have ever had that experience, but how many? It's a straight up question.
I think we had over 100 full-time staff at Concerned Vets for America, roughly, with thousands of volunteers.
So 100 people.
I was also a headquarters company commander, which would have been
Okay, that's fine.
a couple of hundred.
Couple.
Nothing remotely near the size of the Defense Department,
Right.
I would acknowledge that.
Actually,
Senator.
not remotely near even a medium-sized company in America, let alone a big company in America, especially a major corporation. And we're hiring you to be the CEO of one of the most complex, largest organizations in the world. We're the board of directors here. I don't know of any corporate board of directors that would hire a CEO for a major company if they came and said, I supervised 100 people before. They'd ask you, well, what kind of experiences you had? We need innovation. Can you give me an experience or your actual experience of driving innovation in an organization? Give me an example of where you have done
Oh
that.
my goodness, Senator, absolutely. At Concerned Veterans for America, we created the Fixing Veterans Healthcare Task Force, a bipartisan task force that never been done before, to create policy, to drive policy change on Capitol Hill that organizations fought ferociously against.
Well,
we got the VA Accountability Act passed and the Mission Act passed in a way that a nonprofit of our size, veterans organization, has never done. And it's testified in all the letters that we put forward to the committee, which are on the record.
I have limited time. Thank you for that. Give me an example of where you've driven down cost. I've heard the examples that Senator Blumenthal gave. The cost was a real problem for you in your 50-person organization that you actually raised a lot less than what you actually spent. Did you drive costs down? If in a 50-person organization, let me tell you, we've got to drive costs down dramatically in an organization of 3 million people and hundreds of billions of dollars. You don't have that experience that you can talk about. To me, this is or acquisition reform. Acquisition reform, you bring that up. Have you had experience in acquisition reform?
I've written about and studied on acquisition reform.
Have you actually done it?
Because what we need in the hands of our warfighters better change, because we're not doing it well right now.
It better, and we need people who have experience actually doing that. You talk about standards. Again, I'm going to go back to a CEO of the most complex organization in the world. I don't think there's a board of directors in America that would hire you as a CEO with the kind of experience you have on your resume. You talk about standards. You talk about raising or low, that we have a problem of standards in the DOD, and we have to raise standards for the men and women who serve. Do you think that the way to raise the minimum standards of the people who serve us is to lower the standards for the Secretary of Defense, that we have someone who has never managed an organization more than 100 people is going to come in and manage this incredibly important organization and do it with a professionalism and has no experience that they can tell us that they have actually done that? I have real problems with that. This is not about other issues that are brought up. They're all very important. I'm just about trying to get things done, managing efficiently, and having the best people who have demonstrated that in a large organization. And I'm sorry, but I don't see that in your background. There are a lot of other things you can do very well. You're a capable person, but you have not convinced me that you're able to take on this tremendous responsibility with a complex organization and having little or no significant management experience.
Senator, I'm grateful to be hired by one of the most successful CEOs in American history, should I be confirmed.
This exchange highlights serious concerns regarding the managerial and executive experience required to lead the Department of Defense, the largest and most complex organization in the United States, if not the world. Senator Gary Peters systematically evaluates Pete Hegseth's resume, focusing on the scope and scale of his prior leadership positions. Hegseth's previous roles include small nonprofit organizations like Vets for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America, as well as a headquarters company in the Minnesota National Guard, which he describes as supervising hundreds of personnel. Peters contrasts this with the responsibility of overseeing 3 million active duty and civilian personnel, managing a multi-hundred-billion-dollar budget, and ensuring operational readiness across every branch of the U.S. military. He emphasizes that no board of directors in the private sector would hire a CEO of a major corporation with Hegseth's limited scale of experience, noting that prior leadership of 8 to 10 staff or even a few hundred personnel is not comparable to running an enterprise of the Pentagon's size. The discussion underscores the enormous challenges inherent in acquisition reform, cost management, and organizational efficiency. Hegseth references policy achievements in veterans' health care, including the VA Accountability Act and the Mission Act, as examples of driving innovation and policy change. However, Peters challenges whether experience influencing Capitol Hill translates to operational management of complex systems and large-scale logistics, pointing out that raising or lowering standards in small organizations does not replicate the real-world challenges of managing millions of people, complex defense acquisitions, and global military operations. Peters repeatedly emphasizes that successful leadership at the Department of Defense requires direct experience managing large organizations, controlling budgets in the hundreds of billions, and making strategic decisions that affect the lives of millions, including active-duty personnel and civilians. Without such experience, Peters argues, the risk to national security, organizational efficiency, and operational readiness is significant. The hearing also highlights the distinction between theoretical knowledge or advocacy experience and practical, large-scale organizational leadership. While Hegseth has studied and written about acquisition reform and military policy, Peters points out that strategic and operational execution at scale is a fundamentally different skill set. The senator stresses that the Secretary of Defense must be capable of executing reforms and policy decisions in real time, directly impacting combat effectiveness, resource allocation, and personnel management. Furthermore, Peters frames the hearing in terms of accountability. The Secretary of Defense is not just a policy advisor, but the ultimate manager and executor of the U.S. military mission. Effective leadership in this role demands demonstrated ability to organize, motivate, and manage large teams, ensure accountability across diverse functions, and implement complex operations efficiently. Hegseth's background, while notable in advocacy and small-scale leadership, falls short of providing the depth of experience Peters views as essential. The exchange emphasizes the high stakes of Pentagon leadership, where insufficient management experience can lead to operational inefficiencies, wasted resources, and reduced readiness, potentially affecting national and global security. In sum, this segment serves as a stark reminder of the critical importance of executive experience in selecting leaders for the Department of Defense. Leadership in the military context is not only about vision or political alignment. It is about operational competence, large-scale organizational management, and a proven record of successfully guiding complex systems under pressure. Peters' questioning underscores that despite prior achievements in advocacy and smaller-scale management, Hegseth has not demonstrated experience equivalent to managing the world's most complex and consequential defense organization. The session reinforces the notion that high-level leadership appointments require both a deep understanding of policy and the practical capacity to execute strategy at unprecedented scale and complexity, ensuring the safety, readiness, and effectiveness of the U.S. Armed Forces.